Hotel history is created for adult audiences. Content may not be suitable for all listeners. Discretion is advised. You're listening to Hotel History. We take you with us through the sordid history and scandals of some of the world's most famous and infamous hotels. I'm Dieta.
And I'm Yael. Let's get started. So to continue with our retro travel theme, summer, and our last episode of the book club, Fly Girl by Anne Hood, we're doing the TWA Hotel.
And that is located in the JFK airport in New York, right?
Yeah, it's located in JFK, I believe Terminal 5. Yeah, so it's on Terminal 5. And what's also really cool is that that is the terminal I go to all the time because I fly JetBlue to New York and LA. And so it's right across it. You can take like an elevator. You walk and you take like an elevator to the hotel. You can also drive but it's I think mostly for people who are doing layovers. It's not like a destination it's in itself.
Well, actually, for some New Yorkers, it is. They like take staycations there from what I was reading on a lot of like online blogs and stuff.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And it's also it's a date spot. It's a popular date spot.
Yeah, that's true. Honestly, it's a great hotel. Yeah. It's so pretty. It's really, really, you go back in time. It has the best aesthetics I've ever seen. Like, it
Yeah.
really did a good job. I don't know if I think they preserved it pretty well, and they definitely updated it, but they didn't modernize it in a way that makes it look ugly,
Yeah.
where it's like a reminiscent of the past. No, you feel like you're going back in time.
Straight up. Yeah. Whenever you first mentioned the idea of doing this hotel, you were like, yeah, it's in the airport. And I was like, an airport hotel? We're going to do an episode on an airport hotel? But now I get it. And this is the only hotel actually in JFK Airport whatsoever. And they definitely did a good job of making it a destination.
I don't think about airport hotels and think, yeah,
Like,
that's
oh, what history they must
iconic.
have.
I took a tour of the whole hotel, and the manager or the guest experience manager, yeah, Michael gave me and my mom a whole tour of the hotel. And he gave us all this information, and it was like really in depth. It was very interesting. But the one place I didn't end up going because it wasn't open yet was the Connie bar on that plane.
Oh,
Yeah. And then I was like, I'll go back before my flight, but I didn't because I didn't want to miss my flight. But I want to go back and actually have a drink there because they took this old plane and they made it into a bar, and you actually go into the plane.
yeah, it's so cool. It's this old Constellation sitting on the tarmac. It's the coolest concept. Okay,
Yeah.
so let's go back to, if you're like me, you don't necessarily have a good grasp of airline history. You don't even know what TWA is. I had no idea when we started this what the TWA Hotel even stood for.
I didn't either. I knew Pan Am, but not TWA, and I didn't realize how popular of an airline it was.
Same, yeah. So TWA stands for Trans World Airlines. It used to be one of the biggest airlines in the United States, flying both domestically and internationally. So that explains why it had its own terminal at JFK.
Yeah, I didn't know it started in 1930.
Way back at the very beginning of passenger airlines.
It was a merger between two airlines of the time, the Transcontinental Air Transport, TAT, that's a cute one, and then Western Air Express, WAE. So I guess TWA.
Yeah, and that was one of the U.S. mail carriers because that's what before passenger flight became a big deal. Most flights were mail carriers, actually. Oh, and actually, the TAT airline was partially founded by Charles Lindbergh, who, as you guys will remember, hopefully, he was the first to fly solo across the Atlantic from New York to Paris in 1927. And apparently him doing that really helped inspire public trust in the idea of long distance flight, that this was something that people could actually do one day.
Yeah. You know what's crazy about that guy? He must had no fear.
Yeah.
I can't imagine what the first flight like flying over the Atlantic. I would pish my pants.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, those people who do that, they are like missing that piece in your brain that's like, hey, nobody's ever done this before and you might die.
Yeah, that's crazy. 1927. I guess yeah, I would also trust it. I'm like, well, if he did it,
Yeah.
why not?
Like if he went all the way to Paris, then surely I could make it to Buffalo.
Yeah, that's but he also he was mentioned in the Mayflower too, right?
Yeah, yeah. Mayflower was one of the
Okay.
places that he stayed.
I don't know if you know, I know you noticed, but if anyone's listening, there's a lot of reoccurring characters at hotels.
For sure.
Like a lot, you know, the big players, they liked hotels. They came around and they were like, you know, always there, making a club or influencing someone, having a meeting.
Mhm.
So
Having a lunch.
definitely this guy. Yeah, having an affair,
Yeah.
whatever.
So apparently the US government actually pushed pretty hard for this merger because they wanted to consolidate a reliable transcontinental airline. And so they were able to blend. Apparently TAT was mostly on the East Coast and WAE was on the West side. And so they were like, yeah, you guys get together and we can actually cover this entire continent and make flight a thing. And it was actually nicknamed the Lindbergh Line because Lindbergh was so big in the publicity of it.
In 1939, eccentric aviator and industrialist Howard Hughes actually acquired control of the airline. He has quite the rap sheet of
Oh my God, yes.
so he came from money. That's how he right. His dad, it says his father made a fortune building an oil drill bit that could go through rock. That yeah, he came from money.
Yeah. So, yeah. Like your archetypal eccentric billionaire, basically. So he was actually considered like kind of like a bit of a genius as a child. Like he was very smart and innovative, really into engineering. He was actually born outside of Houston. So he built Houston's first wireless radio transmitter when he was like 11.
Oh my God, back to the radio connection.
I know, right? If you don't know what that is, check out our Marconi episode.
Yeah, yeah.
And then his mom wouldn't let him have a motorcycle, so he just built his own motorized bike and got his picture in the paper showing it off.
So he had an e-bike before it was
Yes.
like a thing.
Yes.
That's adorable. Oh my God.
Yeah, and then he took his first flying lesson at 15. So he had a lifelong obsession with aeronautics that started very young.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. He studied aeronautics at Caltech, even though he dropped out of high school. How does that work?
Yeah, your dad makes a sizable donation to the university and they let you in.
Oh, and that's
Although I think he dropped out because his mom died. His mom passed away when he was like 16, when he was away at boarding school in California. And then his father died suddenly of a heart attack when he was 18. So he had a lot of stuff happen really quickly when he was very young. They think that, so Howard Hughes was a notorious, like, neurotic germaphobe.
yeah.
They think he might have gotten that from his mom, who apparently was also like obsessed with health and like would constantly check him to make sure he wasn't ill and that he didn't have any like little bugs on him. Like she sounded very neurotic as well. So they think he may have gotten that from her a little bit.
He sounds like a very multi-talented person and like he has a lot of different interests because not only was he a genius, but it says he at 19 he played so much golf that he apparently could have gone pro. I wonder why he didn't pursue that. You know what? That's kind of boring for someone who's into planes versus golf.
I think he got bored. Yeah, so when his father died, he inherited 75% of his father's company. So imagine inheriting all of that money when you're 18. And then he decided to
Uh,
buy out all of his family members who had the other shares. So he buys them out and gets total control of the company. And then he was like, you know what? I don't know anything about this business and no thank you. So he hired an executive to manage the company and then like never stepped foot in it again. He was like, you take care of this, you guys keep it running, you know what you're doing, and I will just have the income. Thank you very much.
that's actually smart. He knew when to walk away.
Yeah, so he
That's
gets married really young and then he's just like playing golf and traveling and basically living the life of a retired 65-year-old when he's 19.
Oh, that's why he got so good at golf.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. He moved to Hollywood and moved into the Ambassador Hotel. He got into filmmaking. His uncle was an established filmmaker, and he took flying lessons and produced films on the side. So while he was retired and pursuing his flying dreams, he was also doing films.
He was using his own money to pay for all of it. So it wasn't the same as the studios doing it. He was writing all the checks. And so I think he tried some directing too, but he was mostly producing.
That's where the connection between him and all his affairs with the celebrities comes, because he was in Hollywood.
Hughes dated many famous women, including, there's a whole list: Joan Crawford, Terry Moore, Deborah Paget, Billy Dove, Faith Domergue, Betty Davis, Yvonne DeCarlo, Ava Gardner, Olivia de Havilland, Katharine Hepburn, Hedy Lamarr, Ginger Rogers, Pat Sheehan, Gloria Vanderbilt, Mamie Van Doren, and Jean Turney. Oh, he dated Jean Turney.
That is quite the checklist.
Oh wait, it's not over. He also proposed to Joan Fontaine several times, and he might have dated Jean Harlow because she accompanied him to the premiere of Hell's Angels. Everyone hooked up with Howard Hughes is the what we get from all this information.
That's what it sounds like.
He hated his short film so much that he destroyed it. That's intense.
He's quite a critic of his own work.
Yeah, perfectionism sounds like that's in his blood. But his second film, Two Arabian Nights, was a financial success. The director, Louis Milestone, won one of the first Academy Awards at the first ceremony in 1929, which was held at the Hollywood Roosevelt Hotel. Everything comes full circle in the freaking hotels.
Yep. Especially in Hollywood. Yeah, so we talk about that first Oscar ceremony in the third episode, I think, we ever did on the Hollywood Roosevelt. So you guys can go listen to that for more info. His most well-known film was Hell's Angels, which was a movie about World War One. A lot of flying scenes in this one. Shocker. It originally was supposed to be a silent film, but then like talkies became really big in the middle of filming. So he actually had to recast the star. So he recast with Jean Harlow because the original actress was Norwegian and she had a really thick accent and could not pull off an American accent. You had to refilm the movie halfway through. So because of all of that, it was one of the most expensive movies ever made at the time, costing $4 million of his own pocket money.
Wow, I don't understand how movies back then could be $4 million.
This one, when you see all of the flying scenes that they did, you can see how he spent a lot of money. He actually had to fly one of the battle scenes himself because all the stunt pilots said it was too dangerous and they refused to do it. And he was like, fine. I'll do it myself. And he did it. He got the shot, but he crashed the plane. So they were right.
Serious?
Yeah, they were right.
And he survived.
He survived a lot of things. This man had so many close calls. And at least 3 people died on the set of this movie in various accidents.
Oh my God, of course they did. They had like no safety regulation either. Jeez.
We are definitely going to get back, of course, to the TWA Hotel, which is what this episode is about. But Howard Hughes, who owned TWA basically for a huge chunk of its existence, was just such a fascinating character. We couldn't not talk about his entire life, basically.
Yeah, it's he's a legend.
Yeah.
Like it's really he's done so much. I mean, the fact that he started so young on his hobby of aircraft.
Yes.
Like so he set up Hughes Aircraft Company in 1932 to become a defense contractor. My question is, wait, when was he born?
He was born in 1904 or 1905. So he's like not even 30 years old at this point.
So he's young, but he has a lot of money. And in 1935, his H-1 Racer, which was made out of wood and metal, an H-1 Racer, is that a plane?
Yes.
Okay, I didn't know for sure.
Also, like, think about how young planes are at this time.
Yeah.
Like, the fact that he studied aeronautics in college when flying had just been proven, like, what, 2 decades earlier to be able to even be accomplished.
Yeah, I feel like it's like studying AI in the year 2000.
Yeah, exactly.
He had this H-1 Racer, which was made of wood and metal. That sounds very safe.
So safe.
It helped Hughes break the land plane speed record, proving his engineering chops because he had helped design the streamlined plane. Holy crap.
Yeah.
So he was like, I'm going to do this first, but also, again, not much it's still new. That sounds scary.
Yeah. He's one of those people that didn't have that little thing in your brain that goes, maybe you shouldn't do this. This is a bad
idea. Danger. He broke the transcontinental speed record in 1937, flying from Burbank, California to Newark, New Jersey in 7 hours and 28 minutes and 25 seconds. The average speed was 332 miles per hour, shattering the previous record by nearly 2 hours. That's crazy. So he flew in that plane from Burbank to New Jersey in his little wood shack plane.
They modified it a little bit for this flight, but it was, I think, the same plane.
Actually, you know what? That is crazy because 7.5 hours back then from coast to coast, basically.
Huh. We barely do it faster now.
Yeah, I mean, now it's like with no turbulence, no whatever, you can get to LAX to New York 4.5 hours, close to 5. Like that's not that much of a difference.
Yeah, at 30,000 feet. Yeah, but this is 1937, so he's flying at like 10,000 feet. To do it that fast is crazy.
Yeah.
Definitely doing some things that other pilots probably thought were too dangerous to do.
Yeah, he was leading the way with no fear.
Yeah.
He broke another record in 1938 by flying around the world in 91 hours in a Lockheed 14 Super Electra. I don't know what that is, but that does sound crazy.
Yes, it does.
What did he do? Wait, by himself? Did he?
No, he had a crew. He did have a crew.
Okay, he had a crew.
In 1939, Howard started buying shares of TWA through his various companies. And pretty soon he owned a controlling interest, about 78%, basically making it his airline. So he wasn't just a silent investor. He had opinions. He influenced strategy. He decided what aircraft they were going to purchase. He had an influence over the airline's image. Like, this was his airline.
Hughes also worked closely with Lockheed to develop the Lockheed Constellation, a sleek, pressurized aircraft that became TWA's flagship, which is the airplane that's the bar, Connie, in TWA Hotel. He personally test flew the first production Constellation in 1944, famously flying it coast to coast in under 7 hours. That was the one that he broke the record?
No, this is a different one.
This is a different one. Okay.
Different flight, different plane. And I think he flew from Burbank to Washington, D.C., or vice versa.
But he's still keeping it under. He's keeping it around 7 hours.
Yeah.
That's impressive. So under Hughes, TWA was marketed as the airline run by flyers, cultivating a glamorous luxury reputation. That's actually really smart. And I bet you people trusted the brand because they're like, oh, that's Howard Hughes's brand.
Exactly.
He's fucking nuts, but he's also really cool.
Yeah, but he also knows how to fly. And
He also knows how to fly.
yeah, these are the airplanes that he wants to be in. Yeah. So that makes sense to me that TWA was such a huge airline, rivaled really only, I think, by Pan Am. So here things start to get a little dicey for him. And also during all of this time, like Howard Hughes is known for being neurotic and having like mental health issues and germophobia and OCD. Like he had a lot of issues that people already kind of knew about, and as his life progresses, things just get worse and worse for him. During World War II, the US government hired his aircraft company to design a flying boat to try to compete with the German U-boats all through the Atlantic because they kept sinking the transporters. So the plane he designed, which was known as the Hercules or the Spruce Goose, took 5 years and $20 million to build, but it wasn't ready until after World War II was over. So not helpful. It had one flight, which it was not even supposed to fly. They were just supposed to like take it for its like introductory run down Long Beach, and Howard Hughes was piloting it, and he decided, you know what? Let's see what this baby can do. So he flew it for a mile and managed to lift it 70 feet into the air and set it back down to prove that, yes, this could fly, because it was supposed to be a flying boat, but it was more like a plane that was kind of a boat that really didn't fly.
Thank God they didn't rely on this to win the war.
Exactly. Yeah. And so this was the only time it ever flew. After this flight, it sat in an air-conditioned hangar with a full crew to maintain it, costing $1 million a year for decades. For like 30 years. So he's got all of this stuff going on. He's taken over TWA. He's trying to do this work for the government. Actress Ava Gardner, who he actually dated off and on for 10 years, said that the strain of doing so many things started to affect his mental health and really exacerbated his OCD. So he would wash his hands until they were raw. He would repeat the same sentence up to 33 times.
Oh my goodness, that's really bad. Yeah, he was probably under a lot of stress, and that makes all those stuff way worse.
Yeah. Another woman that he went on a date with said that he went to the bathroom and came back and his shirt was like sopping wet, and it was because he said it had a chocolate spot on it, so he had to wash it in the bathroom sink to get the chocolate off his shirt. So to add on top of all of that, in 1947, the government subpoenas Hughes to testify for the U.S. Senate War Committee to investigate if he was irresponsible with the public funds that the government had given him to design this plane. And there's actually a video on YouTube of Senator Ralph Owen Brewster saying that the government gave Hughes $40 million and they just want to know what he did with it. And in a response, Hughes says that he had lunch with Brewster in his suite at the Mayflower Hotel in Washington, where Brewster offered to call off the investigation if Hughes would merge TWA with his friend Juan Tripp's airline, Pan Am. Hughes spread rumors about Brewster's close association with Pan Am, alleging that he received free flights and hospitality in return for legislation, such as his bill to withdraw government approval for TWA flights across the Atlantic, giving Pan Am a monopoly on international flights from the U.S. So potentially some dirty dealing going on.
Wait. I got questions. One, why the F would the government give $40 million without any like checking up transparency, like where it's going? Like, here's 40 million. There's so much free reign there. Like, here's a check for $40 million.
Yeah.
I just don't understand. It boggles my mind because, like, you know, if I have to buy something for my job and it's like plastic cups, they're like, where's the receipt? Why did you buy it for $5.99 instead of $3.99? And I'm like, that was the price, but is the government not doing it?
I don't think so. I don't think they've ever been very good about keeping the books.
Yeah. And then another thing is it's all connected. The Mayflower Hotel in Washington, D.C.
Yes. Everything happens
Um,
at the Mayflower.
everything. So
In case we haven't mentioned it already, during this time, airline flights were completely regulated by the government. So that's why the government would have the ability to approve or not approve TWA being able to have international flights, was because the government controlled and regulated everything with the airlines at this point. So they go to, Hughes goes to the Senate hearing where he repeats his accusations that Brewster had promised an end to this inquiry if he, agreed to merge TWA with Pan Am. And in response, Brewster stood aside from chairing the inquiry and instead became a witness before the committee, which also allowed Hughes to question Brewster directly. So then Brewster denied Hughes's allegations, made counterclaims, but basically by the end of the hearing, Brewster's reputation was in shambles. And you can watch pieces of this Senate hearing on YouTube. This electrified the nation. Like they were eating it up. This was such drama. So Hughes actually came out of this Senate hearing looking really good to the nation, at least, if not the government, at least to the nation. They basically viewed him as a patriot and a victim of political persecution, because even though Hughes, didn't actually produce the airplane that he had promised in time, he did eventually produce it and it didn't really work or do what they had wanted it to do. But he had lost a lot of his own money trying to do that. And he had also tested and crashed a spy plane for the government during this time, almost fatally. This was a terrible, terrible plane crash. And it crushed his lung. He had burns. He had a fractured skull, broken ribs. And because of the chronic pain that it left him with, he eventually became addicted to painkillers.
oh my God.
Yeah, so they basically were like, he's done enough for his country. Like, you guys need to let go of this $40 million.
But why did he test the spy plane?
Of course he was going to test it. Well, he was helping build it. Like, he was helping engineer it. Of course he was going to test fly it. His entire history says, oh, if there's a plane to fly that's never been flown before, I'm going to be the one to do it.
Yeah, I'm impressed that he survived. That also explains kind of the next chapter in his life, I feel like. He decided to go back to Hollywood, purchasing a controlling interest in RKO Studios. Of course, his leadership made it tank.
Like every time he tried to be in control of a company, because he was so controlling and reclusive and weird, he would just make it tank. Anytime he left it alone, it did great.
Yeah, he did that in the beginning, and then because the OCD got out of hand.
Yeah,
the studio lost $22 million and 75% of its employees. He didn't even copyright his movie The Outlaw, starring Jane Russell.
So during his Hollywood era, of course, he is a playboy. Whether he was married or not, he was dating all of the starlets that he could get his hands on, basically.
Whether they were married or not, too.
And whether they wanted to date him or not. Like, there's stories about him, like, basically putting them in hotel rooms with guards outside so they could only leave with him.
Was he a rapist?
Nobody went that far to say that in what I saw, but he was definitely very controlling. He wanted to be the only man in their lives. He wanted them to be at his beck and call. Very controlling. There's also a story that he offered Elizabeth Taylor's mother $1 million to let him marry her when she was still a teenager. They said that both her mother and Elizabeth Taylor laughed. She knew what she was worth.
Like, Also, I don't think Elizabeth Taylor was the type of woman to be controlled like that.
No.
He does the controlling.
Exactly.
It also says Ava Gardner said she hit him with a marble ashtray during an argument in self-defense.
Yeah.
What was he doing that she needed self-defense? I feel like those relationships were really heated. Toxic.
Yeah, because Ava Gardner also had a very toxic relationship with Frank Sinatra. So that was sort of her thing.
Oh, she had a type. Yeah.
Yeah.
She definitely had a type. Ginger Rogers said he was controlling and wanted her to be available at all times.
Yeah, there was even one actress that I can't remember if it was Sophia Loren or who it was, and it was an Italian actress that he flew over from Italy knowing she was married. And when she got here, he was like, you can sign a movie contract, but you can't act with anybody else. Like, you have to act for me, and like, you have to be with me. And she was like, no, thank you. And so before she left, he made her sign a contract that if she came back to America, she wouldn't act for anybody but him. And she signed it like to get away from him because he was controlling her and not letting her leave. But then there are others like Katharine Hepburn who said that they split amicably and they stayed friends. And Terry Morris said that he had problems, but that he had a heart of gold.
Okay, but here's the thing. I don't think Katharine Hepburn and him were like soulmates, like lovers, like they. She doesn't have that vibe.
Yeah, well, one documentary I watched said she found out that he was seeing other women even when they were engaged, and so she was like, deuces. But I guess she wasn't angry about it. It doesn't sound like.
She probably had her own fellas on the side.
Yeah. So in the 1950s, his behavior just keeps getting more paranoid, more erratic. He became a recluse and refused to cut his hair or nails. Some say he wore Kleenex boxes as shoes because of germs, because he was so germophobic. Employees had to avert their eyes, not look him in the eye or talk to him, and they could only communicate through written notes unless he asked them a direct question. And then for 4 months, he holed himself up in an LA screening room, watching movies over and over and taking notes and eating only chocolate and milk.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Just crazy. Yeah. So when he finally came out, he had ruined his health, basically, physically and mentally. And apparently during this time, there was a movie that came out with John Wayne that he hated so much, he spent $12 million buying up every copy so that nobody else would watch it.
Oh, this man was crazy.
Yeah.
He was cuckoo.
So then he leaves the screening room finally, where he was living literally. Like, he was peeing in bottles and lining them up, like living there. But he finally moves into a Beverly.
Oh, well, at least he's peeing in bottles.
He finally moves into a Beverly Hills hotel suite, but he just does the same. Like, he becomes a hermit there too. And now on top of that, he's injecting himself with morphine to try to help his chronic pain from his accident.
By the early 60s, TWA needed large capital investments to compete internationally. Hughes resisted selling stock or taking loans in ways that would dilute his control, frustrating management and shareholders. At that point, they were probably very frustrated with him. In 1961, after financial pressures and lawsuits, a court forced Hughes to step back from active control of the airline. Yeah, I mean, he probably was not mentally capable at that point, and it was time to go. So in 1966, Hughes was finally forced to sell his TWA stock after years of legal battles. Of course, he wouldn't go down without a fight. But the sale earned him what would be the equivalent of $5 billion today.
So he came out on top. Like, he was all right. He was
Yeah.
just fine.
But I feel like for him, it wasn't about money.
No.
It was about like legacy and control.
So next he went to Vegas, where he checked into the Desert Inn, renting out the entire 9th floor. He stayed there for a year, and the hotel asked him to leave because they wanted to rent the rooms out to like high rollers, and he refused. And they were like, no, you have to leave. And he was like, no, I don't. And he bought the hotel.
Oh my God. That's so nice to have fuck you money like that.
Right? Then there was a sign for the Silver Slipper Casino shining into his window at night. So he asked the management to turn it off, and they said no. And so he bought the casino and turned the sign off. But then when he learned that the sign was making money for the casino, because that's how people know it's there, he turned it back on.
Okay, and then he got the blackout shades, and we
Probably.
called it a day. He also bought a TV station for his personal use because he hated that they stopped broadcasting at night.
Used to that at like 9 p.m. or whatever, the broadcasting stations would close down and turn off, and TVs just had static for the until the news or whatever
That's
came on,
wild. Oh my God.
for 6 in the morning. Yeah, and he was like, "No, I'm having insomnia, and I want to stay up late watching cartoons or whatever." So he just basically created 24-hour broadcasting.
Oh my God. He really had influence in places you don't even think about.
Yeah.
But he would also call and demand they change the programming in middle of the shows that he was watching.
Yeah, if he didn't like what they were showing, he would call and be like, "Put something else on."
Oh, he would have loved streaming.
Would have. In the 70s, he's getting even more reclusive. He's like basically hiding from people now. He doesn't want to be bothered. He doesn't want to be seen. So in the 70s, he moved to a London hotel, the Inn on Park, after the Nicaraguan hotel he was staying at was damaged by an earthquake. So at this point, he's not even in the United States anymore because he's too famous here and people won't leave him alone. And he just wants to be left alone. There was a story that when he was staying at a Canadian hotel, a bunch of photographers were like camped out around the hotel trying to get a picture of him. And one photographer, this is like proto paparazzi, even got on a hang glider and tried to hang glide by his window to get a shot of him.
Holy crap. I mean, if there's one way to get his attention.
Yeah, that's true. But there is one unverified story that says that he left his hotel room in London only once to fly a plane around Britain butt naked.
That's how that I feel like that is real.
I feel like it's real. Like I only saw that story in one place, and other things said it was unverified, but I feel like that's real. That sounds like a billionaire recluse move.
Yeah, I mean, just the fact that his history, that is not even the craziest thing.
No, not at all. That's very tame for him.
So he later moved to a hotel in Acapulco where he went into a coma in 1976. He was transported by private plane to a Houston hospital, but died of kidney failure on the way.
He was so emaciated. He was 6'4" and he weighed 90 pounds.
But can I say something? On the way, in a private plane, he went in a place he always wanted to be, in the sky.
That's true. He went out with his boots on.
Yeah. He went out where he felt the best.
Yeah.
He was hear me out. He might have been the Elon Musk of his time. Or Elon Musk is the Howard Hughes of our time. There seems to always be this like eccentric rich guy in every generation.
Yeah.
That they're both good and bad. Like they're both fucking crazy. Not just those individual people, but in general, the eccentric rich guy there's something wrong. They obviously cannot keep a relationship together for the life of them.
Mm-hmm.
And they got a lot of ideas, but along the way, sometimes things work. Sometimes, they're into innovation and they'll throw a couple things that might change the whole entire world as we know it. The Howard Hughes was, the model of that.
So the what is to become the TWA Hotel actually starts out as the TWA Flight Center. Its terminal located at JFK. So in the late 50s is when they start plans for this new flight center located at JFK. They hired a Finnish American architect whose name was Eero Saarinen, and he actually designed a lot of really famous things. He designed the General Motors Technical Center, the passenger terminal at Dulles Airport, and the most famous, I think, is the Gateway Arch in Missouri.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, this man has a resume.
Yeah, he had quite the noticeable style. So the concept they came up with for the flight center really emphasized curves. They wanted these sweeping wings to really symbolize flight. And you can absolutely see that when you look at the flight center today because they kept all of that. It still looks like basically a bird getting ready to take off.
Yeah. So that building has been there since the 60s.
Yeah, it opened in 1962. Sadly, Saarinen actually died in 1961 before it opened because he was
No.
having an operation for a brain tumor.
Oh no.
No,
He
it's
didn't get to see it.
yeah, it's so sad that he didn't get to see it
It's
in
horrible.
action because it's really a gorgeous tribute to what we consider retro, but at the time, it's all of these sleek lines and curves and the furniture and the designs and the colors that they used was very to them it was very space age.
I still think it's really ahead of its time. Like, I think it's going to come back around. I think they grasp the concept of like futuristic really well.
Yeah.
It feels retro, it does, but it also really feels futuristic in a way.
Yeah.
It's a cool, cool space. There's really nothing quite like it.
Yeah. Oh, and his firm also designed the tulip chair, which is that like very mid-century modern futuristic
Yes.
style of chair.
They have those everywhere
Yeah.
in the hotel. Tulip chair. It's a cool hotel. There's like all it's huge windows, every like so much light gets through. And there's so many little nooks that you can sit and hang out. And they really kept the space. Like, honestly, I don't know why they kept some spaces. Like Michael was taking us on the tour and he's like, if you go into this little curved nook, this is where they used to have a bar. And it's just like you can hang out there. There's no bar anymore. But and then if you go into this curved nook, I'm like, maybe you guys should do something with these nooks. Like I get it, you know. Lots of seating, lots of places to roam around and like find a nice little corner and just chill. If you have time to kill, it's a great place. My only complaint about it is that you it's outside. Basically, if let's say you were waiting for your flight, if you were really delayed, it would be good, but you have to make sure you still have to get back to security because you're not going through security and then going to the hotel. It's
Oh,
still
right.
outside. So you might be like, "Oh, I got time," but then the security line at JFK Terminal 5 takes fucking forever. It doesn't matter what time, it doesn't matter like it maybe the season. It will take you forever. It is the longest line. Don't underestimate it.
So the terminal was active for, a few decades. So in 1994, it got landmark status from New York City, both the terminal and its interior. So they were protected from the building being demolished. They call it unsympathetic demolition. So they couldn't just demolish it to replace it. If any demolition happened, I take it had to be for a reason to restore it or
Mm.
something. And then I didn't realize that TWA didn't like finally go kaput until 2001.
I didn't know that either. Yeah.
Like I don't remember ever hearing of TWA Airlines. I mean, I was a teenager by this time, not that I had flown, but you'd still heard of Delta and American and all of those that we know of today.
I don't think they were that active.
Well, I think 2001 is when American Airlines acquired TWA because TWA went bankrupt three different times.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So 2001, it declared its third bankruptcy. And so American Airlines acquired it. But they still kept using the name TWA until 2003 when it was officially retired. But even so, like I have
I've
no
never heard of it.
memory of TWA from my childhood.
Pan Am, I do.
Yeah, I remember Pan Am.
Yeah, it had more of an iconic
Yeah.
look, and there was that bag, that Pan Am bag that
Hmm.
was really popular. I feel like it stuck in my head. It was like more trendy. But yeah, I didn't also realize TWA really was on the struggling so far down.
Yeah.
the
I mean,
timeline, but like
it managed to make it into the 21st century, but just barely.
just barely.
Yeah.
I
And
think
so
what might have killed it also was 9/11.
that probably didn't help. That
It
probably
didn't
didn't help.
know. No.
Yeah.
That probably hurt a lot of airlines in general. And if you're already on your deathbed there,
Yeah. Nail in the coffin.
yeah.
So in 2001, of course, this is when the TWA's flight center stops functioning as a main terminal and was basically taken out of service. It didn't have any room for modern security lines or large boarding areas like were needed, so it just wasn't suitable for use as an active terminal anymore. And then in 2005, it made it onto the National Register. So now it's, a national historic place. But even so, it was basically abandoned almost. It was used for like filming and like events and stuff, but otherwise it just kind of sat there.
When was Mad Men? 2007, I think. And I'm pretty sure they filmed in the abandoned
That makes sense.
terminal.
Yeah.
They filmed Marvelous Mrs. Maisel there too, but that was after the restoration of the hotel.
Yeah. So in 2015, it was when they announced that they were going to turn it into a hotel. And the development was done by MCR, which is a major hotel company in the US. And they were able to strike a deal with JetBlue, because that's who was operating that terminal, and with the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey, of course, because they thought it was actually really important to be able to have a hotel at JFK and also be able to repurpose this terminal that's just sitting there. So that's when they started cleaning and repairing the original head house, because of course it's under protected status, so they can't really do a ton of construction there. So instead they try to restore and clean everything, including the red carpeted tube walkways, which now those tube walkways take you to the new construction, right? Which is the two new wings that they built. Yeah, so they built two 7-story buildings named the Saarinen Wing and the Hughes Wing, so after the architect and after Howard Hughes, that are kind of positioned behind the head house to where they can keep the views of the original building. And they connect through those passageways, but they were able to add 512 guest rooms with these wings.
Yeah, they added, and you can see them. So they're in the video that I made. When they're not occupied, the shades are up and you can see all the rooms.
Oh, that's
It's actually
cool.
really cool.
That looks really cool. Yeah, and then they have floor to ceiling runway views with these huge windows that are the world's second thickest glass to soundproof them from all of the planes taking off that you can see as part of your view.
That makes sense. Thank God they thought of that, because
Yeah.
now thinking about it, I would not want to stay there.
Yeah, so they took care of that. And I also read that the rooms can be booked overnight like normal, but they can also be booked for daytime stays of less than 14 hours, which is so, so smart, because sometimes you really are at the airport for a long layover and you just need a room that you can shower and lay down for a while. That is so smart.
It's a unique hotel. I think that maybe some other hotels should do that too.
I agree. Maybe they do, and we just don't know. But so the hotel opened on May 15th, 2019, and it has a 200,000 square foot lobby, which is in the main terminal that was restored. That sounds massive.
It's huge. Again, in the video, you can see it's also all white. And then they do have that 1960s, 70s sunken lounge area. And it kind of looks like a heart and it's red. It's so cool.
And that's now one of their cocktail and eating areas, right? Is this sunken lounge?
I think what it is they have a bar next to the sunken lounge. And then, you can just sit there. And if you didn't want to order or buy anything, you can sit there also.
Yeah, because they have a lot of places. They have the Paris Cafe, the Sunken Lounge, the pool bar, and the Connie Cocktail Lounge, which is in the airplane that we were talking about. And then they also have a food hall.
They have a lot of options, and they each have not totally different vibes, but they are a little different. So the Sunken Lounge is kind of more casual, and you can just sit there and order a drink at the bar. And then the other restaurant, the Paris one, is on, I think the like you go up the stairs and it's on like the upper level and it's like all you see the whole entire like windows and it's really, really pretty. And their pool is really cool because the pool looks out into the plane. You can see them taking off.
Yeah, the pool is on the rooftop, so you have a
Yeah.
really good view of the tarmac.
Yeah, it's really it's a great, great hotel. It's just fun.
And then they also have like a cool little history exhibit, right? With like all of the uniforms and advertising.
Yes, they do. They have all the uniforms of TWA throughout the history from all the different kinds of designers, like Ralph Lauren and Gucci and whoever. That was so fascinating. I want to tell everyone something. Please don't steal the uniforms. Like the guy was telling me people would try to steal it. Someone actually did steal one of the caps, like I saw was empty and they have to
Ugh,
like pin them down. But I'm like, this is for everyone to enjoy. Like this isn't a prize for you to keep, like
yeah.
respect, because they're not behind a glass box. They let you be in the same room and share the same air. You know?
Yeah, like
It's like,
guys, come on. Please
come on.
respect history.
Yeah, I was so sad when I heard that because it at the end, at the end of the day they were designer pieces,
Yeah.
but if it makes people feel better, a lot of the designer stuff in the 70s was made out of polyester
It's so
and like
true.
shit design stuff was not the same. They actually a lot of designer houses were not doing well and like their quality went down a lot.
Mm,
So getting stuff from that era is not as precious as you think. It's these uniforms are precious because they have the history. I
exactly.
don't think they're that valuable because they're made out of like amazing material.
Yeah, just in and of themselves, not so much.
Yeah.
It's what was done in them. And then the hotel also has event spaces for like meetings and weddings and stuff. So if you want to have a retro themed wedding, this would be such a cool place.
Yes. They have huge event spaces and they also have, if you're there and someone can give you a proper tour, not just what's like in the lobby area, highly recommend. So Michael took us to a different area where they have like meetings, you can work, you can, rent all the spaces. And in that place, that's where you see displays of what food looked like back then, the cigarettes that they would order, the old uniforms that were made out of paper. Like it gave you some of that was behind glass. It gave you this like view into what it would be like if you were on the plane.
Yeah.
That was, but it's not so obvious. It's not in the public area, or it's public. It's just not in the main place. You have to kind of go to a different floor to check it out.
Yes.
Really, really cool.
Oh, and then the lobby also has a restored split flap display, which is that old fashioned sign that would tell you all of your flight information that
Oh,
would go like clack,
yes.
clack, clack, clack as they like changed it.
Yes, it still works. I mean, it's not accurate information anymore. It's
No.
like made up, but it's you hear it. You go in and you're like, all of a sudden you're I don't know how it sounds, but it's really cool. I love that. It's not the concierge, that's the information desk. That's where I spoke to Michael. And then the concierge is like when you walk in, you pass that the clickety clackety things,
Mhm.
and then the concierge it looks like you're checking into your flight.
Oh, that's so cool.
They have postcards and pencils and like it's really cute. And they also have a coffee shop there. They have like these vintage suitcase displays and like a picture of like a retro family traveling and like it's really interesting. This place is a lot of fun. And an old car. They had a bunch of old cars. They had an old little car in the hotel, two old cars outside the hotel, like a vintage Ford and a vintage Volkswagen. And then I'm pretty sure, the DeLorean was parked outside of the hotel.
Why?
I
Because we're
don't
going
know.
back to the future. I don't
I don't know. I took a picture of it, a video also, and I put it in the video. I don't know why. I forgot why, but it just adds to the vibe. Yeah. It would be great to once you do a New York trip and then you top it off with that
Yeah.
before going to your flight.
Yeah. Like you should just book your last night in that hotel so you're already at the airport.
Yeah. Or just like your whole day.
Yeah.
Like your flights at night, just go in the morning and then spend the whole day in the pool and like the bar and everything. And
honestly, that sounds so relaxing. I would do it. Thanks for listening to Hotel History. You can follow us on most social media platforms, Patreon, and Substack by searching for Hotel History or Hotel History Podcast. To connect or collaborate with us, check out our website at hotelhistorypodcast.com. If you like what you hear, please leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify so we can reach more listeners.